Look at this. I got headphones on. I got a mic going. Baby.
If
Huh?
only people could see you now.
Hey, no video. We've gone through this before.
All right,
No video.
all right. Welcome to This Commerce Life. This is a podcast aimed at small, medium entrepreneurs focused on commerce. I'm Phil, your host, and Kenny, your co-host, will join us as well. And we're going to talk to you about the world of retail and commerce and how things are changing in the world.
What's with your backdrop there, buddy?
You know what? Poor Peter had to sit through this, but I'm in the basement in the studio and I can't get the lights right? Like I
in
either
house,
look
like you in a dungeon. Like what are you doing?
No, I'm in the studio, so I got the black backdrop, but it's screwing everything up, so I can't get it.
On the thumbnail video, it looks very Blair Witch.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah, you could be like the scary movie guy.
Yeah. Or if you do the other thing, you put that luminescent mask on, you can look like those people that do the skeleton shit.
It's true. Well, but I was trying the lights and then I look like a ghost, right? So it was either that
Listen, whatever makes you happy. I can understand. And Peter already puts on a nice shirt too. What's going on?
Yeah.
It's a podcast. There's no video. They can't see how nice you
Hey,
are.
I'm doing it for you.
Don't bother for me. I know you. It doesn't matter to me anymore.
That's why.
You're well past that, buddy. You've blown that a long time ago. There's no redemption now.
Oh my
Although
God.
that is a nice shirt.
Thank you. I didn't iron it though. That doesn't.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't look as good as Phil and I in our tuxedos, but it's all good.
Yeah.
I think you should do that sometimes. Is just wow each other with something. Like put on your best suit and just wear it. And be like, what are you doing?
I'm gonna order one of those shirts with the tie on it. You know, the printed tie
the
on
clip-on
it.
thingies.
Yeah.
Or the printed one.
No clip-ons. That's too much work. I'm just gonna order the one that's printed right on the shirt.
Lovely.
So yeah.
Lovely.
So we're pretty excited. We've got Peter on with us tonight. Do either Kenny, you want to introduce Peter?
Sure. So Peter Winstanley is I'm going to do it this way, as long as Sarah's not listening. We're going to call you the senior level regional manager for Jaks liquor stores. And I think Peter's responsible for 6 or 7 of the stores.
I'm at 8. Yeah.
At 8, okay. And he'll describe where he is, where he's at with the stores, etc. But the reason I really wanted to have Pete on is, one, I respect him, and I think he's a very bright guy and knows his shit and is doing a really good job. But I also really wanted, especially in this time of COVID, because Jaks liquor stores is obviously liquor stores. There's 13 of them throughout the province, and in a COVID situation, it's very interesting. I'd love to hear how Peter and the crew have been managing customers in the stores, how they're managing the staff issues, like all the things that go around with a COVID sort of mindset. And quite frankly, out of all the retail people that I could think of, he was probably one of the best guys I could talk to, or have us talk to, Phil, to sort of help us maybe go through that, and maybe some cool ideas for some of our other retail listeners who might be struggling to figure out how to get through this time. So that's Peter in a nutshell. And then Peter can describe himself a lot better than that.
Peter, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you, Phil, and thank you, Kenny, for that nice welcome there. So, great to hear. You kind of nailed it in a nutshell. I do work with Jaks Beer, Wine, and Spirits. I'm a regional manager for them. Been working with Jaks for a number of years, so I think that's where you can throw the senior in there. And also, for Sarah's case, if it helps, I am a few years older than her, so I've got more grays than I think even close to she has. So I'm good with that. And I've got my locations anywhere from the greater Vancouver area all the way into interior BC and also Vancouver Island. So very many different demographics to work with there. And you get to see, not necessarily see, but hear a lot of different stories coming from our guests, and also coming number one from our teams and how the COVID crisis is impacting them. So it's been one heck of a ride, but it's been thrilling. Like Winston Churchill says, don't have the opportunity to miss a great crisis, or don't waste a crisis.
Yeah.
No, that's all good, man.
Yeah.
It's kind of exceptional times, right? I mean, So you've kind of been through the whole COVID thing from, figuring out, are we open? Are we closed? To, okay, we're sort of open. We're sort of closed. We've got right? Do you mind walking through some of those things, like trying to figure out, particularly, I don't want to dwell on it, but I think it's interesting, the, kind of early days of COVID, how you were able to figure out like what the ground rules were for you guys to be able to operate and things like that.
Yeah, that was an interesting one, because no one really knew what the ground rules were at the time. And, it's not like you can necessarily look to someone else and say, well, what have they done in the past? Look back, you can look at the 2008 recession. You can look at other crises that happen across the world, and also in the organization. We'll fall back on that and look, but a little bit different. And for us, it was number one is to identify what for operating was what the government was saying for health, number one,
okay,
and what they guided us with, and then trying to take what the provincial and federal government was saying and put that into action, and really ensure and create vision and clarity for our teams to keep operating, because there's a lot of uncertainty for them, and there's a lot of uncertainty for the guests, and there's a lot of rumor and talk that goes on what is happening in other organizations. So that uncertainty really takes an impact. So yeah.
And are you guys, forgive me because I don't know this, but are you guys a corporate driven organization? Like I've kind of heard, for folks, for lack of a better example, but like the Canadian Tire folks that are more franchised, they've had a difficult go at it, right? Because the head office will kind of roll out instructions, which the stores kind of see like guidelines. So formatting, everything comes out different. And so they've had a really difficult time of it. Are you guys more franchise? Or are you more head office driven? And did that make a difference?
Kenny, chime in here if you want to, but I think for the most part, we're not franchise driven. We're not necessarily head office driven. We're driven more team driven. And the way we looked at the situation was to listen to what, like I said before, what our guidelines were to operate within from our government, and the next was to start listening to what our teams felt was the right thing to do, and what all the way down to ground levels, what they felt was the right thing to do, and also if they had many questions and ideas. It was really trying to listen to everyone, and how are we going to operate? You had competitors that were reducing their hours. They thought that the right thing to do was to reduce hours. And so that was limiting their operating windows, making it a lot tougher. And, we looked at it, well, the best thing for us to do, listen to our teams. What do they say? What questions, what uncertainties do they have? What are they scared of? And what do you think their solutions are? And basically every day was discuss what do you have that you're uncertain about, and how are we going to try and solve it? And that was the idea. And then after that process went through, every single day is, well, how we put that into execution. And so it was really, we can talk about a bit later if you like, is talking about adapting and overcoming. It's really about that.
What I find it interesting is that we've got 13 stores spread out of the province. Like I'd love to try to understand. So towards Phil, to go back, it is more of a corporate type of environment. Team led, like more of a team feel. It's not corporate like we came from, that corporate, but it is centrally run, and the head office in essence would create the mandates, and I'm assuming create the templates. And then I think this is where some of the uniqueness comes in, specifically with Peter and his skill sets, and probably Tim to some degree as well, is I guess what the question is how do you manage 13 stores in so many different regions in a time of not just uncertainty, but of time of just unknowing? Like you're battling what you need to do for a business. You are battling and managing what 13 managers would say, potentially 13 now store staff would say. So like walk me through that process too. Like how do you That's a lot of shit going on
Mhm.
in a very short period of time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like in an industry that we knew, like a recession, I mean, booze is typically recession proof, as we found out definitively that this is a good business to be in when times are interesting. But
Yeah.
I'd love you to walk us through, like, how do you manage that
Well, I think
gong show?
at first you kind of have to find a new best friend, and that usually for me that was Woodford to start with. Good old Woodford bourbon was my best friend to start with, and then after that was is learning to be on the phone and communicate more than you ever have, and I've never for myself having. 8 direct reports in terms of corporate business isn't a lot, but I mean, for some organizations that are still that are going through this, it can be quite straining, and you've got to learn how to be willing to communicate to the extreme. And there was for myself and many, like for Sarah, my colleague, and for Tim, it was you're picking up the phone like 60 times a day. 60 times a day, and you're acting like you're just basically listening and communicating it to every single day for the first couple of weeks. It was you're just when the sun comes up and the sun goes down, you're just making sure those lines of communication at all times are happening, and making sure that any questions or anything that the stores or teams need or want, you're there for them, and you've got to be able to communicate what their needs are and what our needs are to keep the business going. So that was a lot of it. It was just a lot of communication, tons and tons of communication.
Wow, that's fantastic. And then kind of evolving, this evolving environment of, how you manage, people in the store. Do you guys still have people coming into the store, or you do have that yet, or is it still all pick up?
Oh, no, we kept busy. We put up protocols for sanitation and to limit, much like you're seeing much now with many retail environments, or any environment is keeping that physical distancing. We put those protocols in place in those structures, but we were able to actually maintain our business and stay open in our normal operating hours, and operate in the same function that we would every single day.
Okay. Wow, that's fantastic.
So how do you manage that though? How do you manage traffic flow? I mean, these stores are not huge. You're not talking, 100,000 square foot like Costco, where it was awesome. It was like, it was my own Costco. I mean, I didn't mind waiting because I shopped. I was scared if I fell down, they wouldn't find me for weeks. Because I've never seen a Costco empty, but our stores are not that big. No. And I say ours, guys, because I remember I do have a contract with Jaks, and I do work with.
You're one of the team.
Peter, thanks, Peter. That's making me feel really good inside.
Oh, he was just saying how they couldn't get rid of you.
I won't let them get rid of me. I've weaseled my way in as much as humanly possible, man. I'm seriously. I will do what it takes. I love these people, but I guess what I'm trying to understand, Pete, is how do you manage? It's not a big space. And how do you manage those, the fears of the customer, fears of the staff, spacing? Because we put spacing of 6 feet. There's 12 people. You're already out the street down the block.
Yeah,
not a lot of room.
Yeah, that's a good one, and that was something we presented to with right away, and it really hit hard. And if you remember, it was kind of like just after St. Patrick's Day was when it kind of officially all came down the pipe, and that's when toilet paper was going scarce, and you couldn't get supplies, disinfectants. They were just running off the shelves, and it was and the same thing was happening for us. We were getting record high sales. It was like it was the holiday season every day for the first week, and trying to manage that, it was tough. And so, we looked at, well, how are we going to make this work? And you kind of have to look at it as well. We now have to start putting proper protocols in place where We're putting spacing signs down on the floor. We're running security from open to close on some locations to watch the door, to keep that traffic count down, and also keep the space with the line going out the door. And really, just number one is looking after your team and staffing up. Understanding that they're going to have increased workloads based on efficiencies in the store aren't going to be as strong. They're not going to be able to work the same way they did before. It's going to take a little bit longer to do the job. So having to put more staff on to mitigate that space and also to do the job. And then is really working with each individual and listening to them, because also understanding that they're going to be going through a lot of fear and uncertainty, much like everyone coming in through the door. So I say, like, keeping that operating in that business space was just a lot of, again, communication and ensuring that your guests also feel safe.
Wow. It's crazy.
I just find it amazing, Phil. Like, you're managing not just change, you're managing fear on top of change. Like, like people are scared of change anyway, but they're scared of change, and they're also scared of just being legitimately scared. Should I go to work?
Yeah.
So Pete, when you're doing that, how do you manage that part even? Like, you got people that legitimately, I'm assuming there must have been phone calls. Listen, I don't know if I want to go in. I don't know.
Is it safe? Is it?
I mean, that's great. You have security at the door, but what does that mean for me? Like, was there a lot of issues with that type of thing? So not just the fear of change because their jobs have changed, but like, I don't know if I want to go in.
Well, of course, and I'm sure we all had that same realization. Even sitting, hey, we've got to think about your own mental health, and also mental health, your physical health, your well-being. It's easy for some of us just to stay home and do our jobs from home, but for those individuals on the front lines, healthcare workers, retail workers, so on and so forth, they've got to go to work to make a living. And so to manage that fear, you've got to ensure as a business and being a leader within your organization that your staff is the number one priority. Our guests are always taught, we're trained to say guests are number one, but we have to now shift it and say, hey, our guests are number two. Their physical health and well-being is just as important as ours. But in order for us to continue to operate as a business and continue soundly, our staff have to be number one. And one, we have to show that we're doing our due diligence within the organization by constantly putting sanitation practices in place, putting up barriers and physical distancing barriers to ensure that we have that spacing we talked about for our guests coming in, also for our staff. We have to ensure we have enough in the supply chain, have enough supplies to get their needs. There's nothing more scary than Jimmy who goes to wipe down the phones, wipe down a counter, and he can't find sanitizer. It's out. Yeah. To them, that's like for a caveman, fire going out.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure.
That's a big deal. So you got to make sure you have that. And so, and then next is to manage that fear is let them know that fear is okay. That it's okay to be scared. Mm-hmm. Ultimately, this is a scary thing, and it's okay to express the fear and let it out. Listen, you're now becoming your coaching skills and your empathy and sympathy has gone probably 300-fold at this point. You look at your team and you have to really assure them, hey, it's a scary time. We do have a vision of what we want to see. We want to give you absolute clarity on what we need to do. And if we follow these proper practices and we continue to communicate every day on our mental health, that we're going to get through this. And so, Kenny, you were on there. You were on a couple. We had a town hall meeting twice a day. And that was something for all of our employees to come on a Zoom call and express any concerns or any questions or any uncertainties they have, and do our best to answer those. And so that really helped having a sense of community. And we talked about before was having 13 stores across BC where there's very little interact. There's only maybe once a week, and some employees may never meet each other based on space. This gave them the opportunity to come together and be, hey, we're a community now together, we're a team, and show that this is our culture, and it really helped them get through it.
That's really cool. That's really cool. Could we flip a little bit? Because I think that stuff's amazing. I think the other piece of this COVID thing is, as we're coming out the other end now, what's really apparent is that, what we had before isn't really coming back, right? Like the, what you've got now is probably closer to what the new normal looks like in terms of the number of folks in your stores, the pacing, the distancing, I guess one is, do you when you guys put these in play, were you thinking about how sustainable this was in the long haul or not? I mean, tough question. I it definitely threw you a tough question, but I probably more curious to your opinion, Phil, right?
Because I'm curious to not to lead you down where I want you to go, but it's kind of one of those things like we never had a security type entering a Costco or a Superstore or a Jaks or a BC Liquor or anything. How do you? That was a great idea to Phil's point at the time, but like, what is sustainable? What do we learn that we can bring forward? Because I'm dying to see where this all really goes.
Yeah.
Now.
Yeah, I think it is, and I for us, I think for grocery, possibly for liquor retail, any commodity based retail environment, I think it's going to be a little easy for them. They're not going to have to shift too much in the way they do things. They may look at different, look at increasing sanitation programs. For many organizations, look at beefing up and bumping up their HR practices in terms of mental health, because that's become more evident than ever now that mental health is one of the most important things in an organization. And then you look at what about clothing retail? You look at clothing retail, for instance. How are they going to change their businesses? And how are they going to, from those organizations where they've had to close door, and for the last nearly 8 weeks now, we'll call it 8 weeks, have had to close their doors, and they haven't had the ability to adapt to this and change the way they do things. They're going to be opening their doors to
a whole new
completely different world.
Yeah.
Maybe the world is going to be slightly different. Will be slightly different. Maybe when this all comes over, things haven't changed that much. But when that fear's been there for places like clothing, how do you try on a garment if you think that other person, someone else has worn it?
I don't know.
How do you keep dressing rooms hygienic, right? Like, are you wiping? You think of the old, like before, if you're in a clothing store, like on a weekend, it's entirely possible to have a lineup of people that want to go and try things on, right? So what are you doing now? Are you cycling through that dressing room, like after every person to wipe it down? Like how do you?
That's probably what you should be doing. Is that realistic?
Yeah. No, I
don't know.
I mean,
and how many are going to be doing that? How many clothing stores are the three of us going to be going
There's so many things in there, right? Like there's the actual wiping down process, right? So you're adding 5 to 10 minutes per guest going into a changing room, right? You're adding like a ton of sanitary products that you've got to be able to keep in the store. The amount of PPE you're now asking someone who mans that like wardrobe area probably needs more PPE than anybody else, right? So it's just it's like so many wrinkles on one.
Wasn't
problem.
Loblaws? What is it? $100 million a month of additional cost just to maintain the cleanliness of the store, etc.
Yeah.
So, Peter, I guess it's a legitimate question that these things are all good to do for the 4, 6, 8, 10 weeks. Yeah. But I mean, I'm with Phil as I'm trying to understand it too. Is And like you said, I mean, legitimately, it's good that we bring it up, but I mean, liquor stores might be a little different. Yeah, for a restaurant, you had 100 seats.
Mm-hmm.
They want you to cut the size to 50, but nothing's even. So really, it's probably 40 seats.
Yep.
Of the 40 seats, how many really want to go in now with, do I want to be served by someone who looks like they're in a hazmat suit with potentially plexiglass between the tables, and there's 4 people in the restaurant, like, and all those costs. But I even look at like our world within Jaks, like, every hour it's 10 extra minutes to clean all these surfaces, et cetera, which doesn't sound like a lot, but all these processes add time.
Oh yeah.
They take away potentially from service or whatever it is. I mean, I don't know how we can see that. I don't know how we manage the go forward, because I don't know if we've anticipated any of the sticking. So I'm curious to see where you're at. Like, where do you see it? What do you see?
That's another good one. Is like you said, like how much more cost. And so for somewhere like you look at it for that extra hour, if you look at across 13 stores for us, that's going to be an additional, roughly additional $13,000 to $15,000. And it's just on that 1 hour, right?
Yeah.
Not to mention supply costs. So, we're doing better looking at external options now. What can we do for external options to bring in third parties to help with that process? Yes, it's going to cost more, but we're also going to get peace of mind. And it's also going to be where we're going to have a lot more creativity to put in place. We got to be extremely creative on how we do things now. And I think for, many organizations, creativity is going to be a big one. What are you going to do differently? What are you going to do differently that wasn't the norm before? What are you going to do differently for your customers coming in? And you're going to have to sit down and really put on, everyone go into the think tank and go, what are we going to do differently? So I know us, like I said, we're going to go in with look at third-party organizations. We're going to look at putting cleaner health practices in place and ensuring that guests feel that they're safe coming into our spaces. And number one is also as our teams feel safe coming into work.
I think the one I'm curious about too, if you guys have started thinking about it, or if you have any initial thoughts, is I think, from what I know from Kenny, right, is Jaks is a service oriented, store. The experiential of being in a store is pretty high, right?
Yeah.
And so, like these times are, these are the best places for, kind of retail to excuse retail poor situations, right?
Yeah.
Is, like right now, I don't want to see an employee. I don't want to be around, the employees don't want to be around me. I just want to be able to get in and out of my store. You guys are the opposite of that, right? Is there's an experience to it, but in post-COVID times, how are you going to do that? Like with someone with is there a way, and maybe it's just my ignorance because the face mask thing is new, it's but is there a friendly way for someone gowned up in a mask and gloves and
and being 6 feet away from you, not holding the
help
bottle,
you?
talking? What do you do? Can I
How
help
do
you?
I help you
my
find
store?
a new tequila, right? Like,
and just pour it on you if I touch you, because
we Halloween every day at work. Halloween every day. Who can wear the best costume?
I guess you can make it fun.
Yeah. Well, that's that's really it. And it's challenging. I gotta say, it's challenging for us because we do pride ourselves on service and guest that guest experience. And when with that little bit of fear that our guests have with keeping that space, it makes it more challenging. And as Kenny says, well, how do you mitigate guests coming to the door and remain to have that space in your store by mitigating traffic? Is, well, how do you continue to do that when all we're taught a lot of time in sales and guest service, a lot of it is number one is building rapport, right? It's really coming down to building rapport and trying to build rapport with somebody from 2 meters away. It's not hard, but it's different. Especially
it's different,
when you have to keep that space all the time. And now a conversation you're having, I'm sure we're all having it. You see individuals having conversations on their patio, not their patios, but they're on the driveway with their neighbors, and they're screaming about what Betsy made from dinner, and the whole neighborhood knows what Betsy's having for dinner. And so it's the same thing in the stores as you're talking. You're trying to build that rapport, and you're doing it from such a distance now. So, for us, we've got to be more creative, I think, now. And like I said, creativity is going to be big, and a lot of it's going to. I'm going to encourage is for our online e-commerce platform is we're going to have to try and create that also. That's for individuals that don't want to come in a store and they want to shop with us online. That we're going to have to create that experience on an online way. To get their return.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I think this might where the podcasts and the video blogs or vlogs all come into play too, where we can, I can search and get my expert help and kind of get in and get out. The reason I'm kind of going down this path too is that I know from my buddy Mark in Ontario, he goes to Ontario liquor stores. First question at the door, do you know what you're getting for? Yes, I'm getting beer. What kind of beer? Where are you going? Like they want you in and the hell out. Don't browse. It's not the time. Do you know what you want? Please go and get it. Again, great for them, but Jaks prides itself to back where Phil goes. It's not the experience. The how to help you give, like as my mom and dad, in Stu's Stuart's store. It's, you know what I mean? That's the thing. I mean, how do you can't have people hanging in the store for days anymore. It's not that world anymore. And I
that's going to be tough. That's a good one because commodity-based shopping, when you're in and out, you're getting your milk, eggs, and bread, or you're grabbing your staples for instance, for us being in the liquor retail business, you're getting your staples. But what about if you're coming in and you're shopping and you don't know what you're looking for? Yeah. Kenny, you and I are gonna, when things kind of get back to normal, we and I are gonna meet up for dinner, or you may at one point invite me over to your house type thing, and I'm gonna say, well, you're gonna tell me, say, hey, can you pick up a nice bottle of Bordeaux? I really like Bordeaux. And for myself, not maybe being in the industry, if I'm more of a customer, how am I gonna know what a great Bordeaux is?
No idea. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So how do you go into it in that environment where you're looking in Ontario, where the LCBO is? You're coming in and they're like, well, what are you going shopping for? I don't know.
All they want you is in and out.
I'm shopping for Bordeaux. And they're like, hey, great, go grab that Bordeaux in 10 seconds. So you're running up and you're like, I don't know what I'm grabbing.
I don't even know what a Bordeaux is at that moment. I can't read the bottle. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Am I in the Bordeaux set?
Yeah. Think about that stress now. Think about that stress and trying to
that's
run
hard for a customer, right? Yeah. But I guess how do you mitigate it as the retailer? How do you make that experience not so shitty for me? Because that's what it is to me. That's just a shitty experience. And because we do pride ourselves in that, I'm trying to figure out how we get through this next gong show.
I think, I mean, I'm a digital guy first, so I think the online piece is really big.
I agree. I think that's where we're going to have to excel.
Yeah. I think
show me how to make a drink. Tell me some stuff.
Yeah. I think it's going to be like, so you go to some sites, like car dealerships are really good at this, right? Like you go to a car dealership site and immediately what pops up on the side is someone going, hi. What you doing here? What can I help you with? Right. Like, and and at that point, it doesn't really work for me. Like the car dealers, I'm always like, go away. Like I want to look at my own thing. But I think that there's got to be something like that there where there is, so you can literally go, Kenny said Bordeaux.
I'm having fish for dinner.
Right?
What am I drinking? It's going to be those type of questions. And I would love someone to still be able to say, yeah, listen here, and I love to do it before now too, because I'm trying to be conscious of others around me. I don't want to be the jackass lingering for 6 months in the store, right? Because I'm taking away from someone else, and I don't want people to get sick. So I would love the ability to go on before and say, hey, Peter, I'm having a steak tonight. I don't like red, and I actually don't like wine. What could you recommend? But maybe have my pre-made list. Is Jaks doing anything for, let's say I do go online and I type in, this is what I want. Is Jaks doing anything to either deliver? Is there in-store pickup that's ready to go, curbside, whatever you call it? Is that an evolution? Because that wasn't obviously done pre-COVID. Is that a post-COVID?
It's funny you say that, Kenny, because that was something that we were working on. Our e-commerce platform, we're looking at launching a little bit later in the game. And, you know, this is what I talked about adapting and overcoming was we under strong leadership and I guess just determination and hard work was launched our e-commerce platform during this time so we could offer on curbside pickup and also deliver. And so, you know, you used to work with Dennis and
he pushed the hell out of it.
Yeah, and we pushed it to get it online and get it going. And I asked him this thing, and it's the same thing Phil said earlier. I said, well, wouldn't it be really cool if you could actually jump online and talk with a specialist beforehand and say, hey, you know, I don't know what I want. I don't know. I'm not necessarily knowing what I want. I'm very uneducated in this area, or, you know, I'm having a special occasion. What do you recommend? And having the ability to talk to someone, either, you know, just chatting, or imagine if you could schedule a session very much like you and I are having.
Yeah, how about can I Zoom you? Can you maybe walk me through it? And can you maybe even show me how to pour it? I mean, I don't know if that's important, but I'd love you to help me out. And
you've met our buyers and our procurers, and you know, one of them has even gone as far as weekly. They have a night where she picks a theme or picks a type of alcohol, and then they do a Zoom meeting.
Oh, that's really cool. That's really cool.
Up to 20, 30 people. Yeah.
Phil and I are always amazed that this little 13 store company does things that you shouldn't do when you're 13 stores.
Yeah.
You know, it's not
things
normal.
that really big companies that have lots of money and
struggle
lots of
with on a good day.
Have no idea.
I mean, I'm always amazed at Jaks in a lot of ways. We've had Tim on the show previous, and I mean, and Phil knows. I mean, I strong accolades to the company and all you guys, because I just don't understand how you guys function. It's just not normal. It's I don't know what the hell it is.
It's great. It's fantastic.
We're in the liquor industry, you know. Like I said, you gotta get new friends. You gotta find new friends like Woodford and maybe.
I like that. What's the rum I like with the X on it? The one I'm really enjoying.
Bumbu.
I love that stuff, man.
Yeah, that's delicious.
I really like that.
Hey, do you have any? This is totally offside. Do you have any tequila recommendations?
How's that offside? That's his job. Hey, you should order online. I think they sell to Ontario. Maybe they're not allowed to.
I totally do it. So I'm a reposado guy. I will sip it like a finger all night. Don Julio is a staple in my house. Do you have any recos?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I got a bottle. I was just for Cinco de Mayo was enjoying it. We had very much the same one, a couple fingers of it, but Plaza Azul Reposado. It's fantastic tequila. And it comes in this gorgeous porcelain bottle too.
Oh, wow. Okay.
You have to take a picture and send it to Phil.
I'll send it to you after this, Phil.
Okay.
You'll love it. A little bit sweeter, but it just tastes like it tastes like raw agave.
Oh.
And caramel toasted. If you know the aromas of agave syrup, that's right off the nose.
Okay.
Really?
Yeah, delicious.
Yay. And I can order at Jaks. You got it. Done.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's done like dinner. That's amazing.
One of my favorites.
I love it. Yay. I'm trying to think of what else I got to ask you.
I want further recommendations once we finish this. I want to know what's hot out there. I want to know what's the cool stuff to drink. We're all home. I got nothing else to do. I start drinking at 11 o'clock in the morning now. Come on, guys. I mean, what the hell? I mean, it's only white wine, by the way, so it's very light. It's not offensive. No problem here. I'm just saying.
So I am curious. So I did want to ask you this because slightly longer segue, but one of the things that Walmart found out in the kind of like mid 2010s ish or around 2010 was in hurricane season, Americans bought more strawberry Pop-Tarts than any other thing in emergent situations like hurricanes, tornadoes, that sort of thing. Very weird. There's an article that I'll fire and I'll put in the podcast episode, but they figured out of all their POS data that they keep mountains and mountains of, that strawberry Pop-Tarts was flying off the shelves in emergent situations.
To the point where they were putting pallets at the front of the store, Pete.
Yeah. they were actually doing that, which is crazy. So I guess I'm not asking if you're selling strawberry Pop-Tarts, but I guess I'm wondering, have you seen any spikes that surprised you at all? Did vodka sell more, like the cheap vodka, so people could sterilize
or is it
things
the expensive
with,
stuff?
or like,
Have you noticed a difference in how people purchase?
Yeah.
Cheap, expensive?
Yeah.
Like, what are people doing?
Yeah.
I guess first, that's I got to say to that 2010 at Walmart with Pop-Tarts, that's disgusting. I think it's
you haven't had a Pop-Tart at the right situation, then, my friend.
Yeah.
During World War II and during wars, during that time, people were buying canned goods that would keep for 5 years or whatever it is. But
Yeah.
Americans are buying pastries that think they're going to keep forever. I think that's hilarious.
They do.
Yeah. They do. Yeah.
It's true.
Twinkies would have never went out of business originally if they did that, right? Bought Twinkies.
Yeah.
A Hostess. So the what we're seeing what's been interesting was, even though unemployment rate is going up, unfortunately, due to a lot of businesses, hospitality, retail closing down, so on and so forth, and everywhere else it touches, is individuals are willing to spend a little bit more money on themselves, because buying habits have changed. You're no longer spending the money going out to the restaurant, taking your wife out, taking your husband, going
no movies, no concerts, nothing. What else are you doing?
The kids aren't necessarily playing sports for at least
no sports. Yep.
So expenses are going down, and entertainment expenses, and so they're willing to spend a little bit more money. So you asked me what kind of tequila, what kind of tequila do you recommend? It's like we're getting a little more of that. Where individuals are willing to spend a little bit more money. And also on the other side, though, is also because of scarcity and uncertainty on how long the supply chain is going to keep up, people are also willing to trade down. So, Kenny, who loves that nice Bordeaux bottle, is now trading up to a 4-liter box of wine because he's not sure how long the next time he's going to be going out to get wine for. So we're getting where larger formats are being purchased. And on the other side is people are willing to spend a bit more money on themselves to reward themselves during this tough time.
So you've definitely noticed an uppeak in, maybe it's not a Smirnoff, like they're buying a Belvedere or a Grey Goose. Like, are we noticing that sort of trade up, like that kind of level? Because I definitely know expenses are down. Nobody's driving, so gas is cheap.
Yeah.
We're not traveling. There's no planes. There's no holidays. We're definitely not going out to eat. There's no movies, no concerts. I mean, I know we're actually, I think we're ahead in this house even, but I'm definitely buying a lot more food, and I'm buying better food because, I mean, what the hell, right?
What stimulation are you going to necessarily? We're not getting outside stimulation now, either being at work, in the office, playing sports, going out to the entertainment, so on and so forth. You're now indulging on those are now your stimulus for you. And I made a joke to a friend the other day, and I said, have you noticed now that when you're working at home like this and everyone's home, that your 3 meals a day now become events? And you're no longer like, oh, what am I? What's for breakfast? Oh, I'll grab a granola bar, run out the door. I'll have some yogurt. Or lunch is now stopping off at Subway, and dinner now is like throwing it together in half an hour. Now it's breakfast is maybe bacon and eggs, toast, the whole works.
What the hell? You got time?
Yeah, you got time.
Exactly. Now dinner is no longer just a quick fix. It's like, oh, we may be having a nice 8-ounce ribeye now with all the fixings, when that was considered what you'd have on the weekends, not midweek.
That's true.
And that's the same thing we're seeing with purchases. Is I loved, and I had a great laugh, was with a lady that came in when this all started, and she had a cart with her, and she's pulling it around, and she's throwing that's a nice wine, that's a nice wine. She's grabbing $50-$60 bottles of wine and just throwing them into the basket, because she's like, I'm probably not coming back in here for the next 2 months.
Oh my.
Wow.
And she's like, she knows, she's like, spending's down. I'm buying nice wine. If I'm going to be home every day, and I need something to enjoy, I'm not going to be sitting and drinking a $9.99 bottle of wine, because I need something. That is now their entertainment. That product is now entertainment and something to enjoy.
So are you teaching the stores? How how are you enticing those? And the reason I'm asking you this way is because we do have a lot of small business and retail that listen to the podcast. That's the whole point of this podcast, right? Is not just to talk about specifically, but now give ideas. It's a tough time. People are struggling. They get bogged down into the weeds and the downness of this. But there's a lot of opportunity, as you're describing now. So how do you merchandise toward that? How do you teach your crews to capitalize on that? What are you doing that if I was listening to you and I own a small grocer, how do I learn something from Peter?
Like you said, Kenny, don't get tied down in the weeds. You can't don't get tunnel vision. You need to discuss and have open conversations about if you're finding your standards within your business are starting to be compromised, is you kind of have the conversations, well, how are we still going to get the job done while still following rules of society right now and ensuring it, and have those say, well, if you're struggling to get one job done, I'm sure you can think about and put down as well, how do you change it? You know, for some grocers or retailers and such, it's something that maybe you did at early in the morning. Can you change it to late at night? Is there something where you had to where your service standards are now been compromised? Well, how are you going to get around those? And that's something for us right now. You know, we were guilty at first. Jaks was guilty for the first 10 days to 2 weeks. We found our standards were being compromised, and it wasn't what our business model was, and also our brand promises to what we promised our guests. We were no longer operating to who we were, and we're like, we can't. What makes us different than anyone else? Why would you want to come to us besides the sin of necessity? So we had those discussions. Well, how can we still do it? How can we still keep things going? So it was just, if I had to give advice to anyone to small businesses out there that are either going to be reopening their doors or still their doors are still open, is if you come in front of any situation, is have an open discussion with every single member of your organization and come up with as many ideas as you can. And don't get tied down and bogged down in the minutia of every day, and look forward and say, hey, how do we adapt and overcome?
Yeah. Cool. That's good advice.
Yeah.
That's good advice.
Very good.
Peter, thank you for joining us. This has been amazing.
Welcome. It was a blast to talk to you and meet you, Phil. And I always love having a good conversation with Kenny.
I always enjoy you too, Peter. I'm glad you came on. I do appreciate it. I mean, it was short notice, but I think it's good. I think it's Jaks is a good story, and you are obviously a major part of why it's a good story. And I think it's probably going to be good for people to hear it. If you're willing, you can put a plug in for Jaks one. You can also put a plug in for you if you don't mind people who might want to reach out or pick on you a little bit to see if there's something you could teach them or not. That's up to you. The Jaks plug you should do for sure, but the other one I'll leave to you if you want.
Yeah, absolutely.
So how do they find Jaks?
Number one, you want to find Jaks, look us up, jaks.com. Easy as that. If you live in the BC region, I'm sure we have one within 20-kilometer radius here. Throw it on Google. You can find me. If you want to reach out directly to me, you can find me on LinkedIn, Peter Winstanley. And if you want to know more about us, just look online.
Okay,
awesome.
We'll put Jaks links in the podcast if you're listening to this. And Peter, you're okay if I put your LinkedIn link in the podcast description as well, so that way then you just click on it and find you.
Yeah, absolutely, Phil. No problem. I'd love to.
We're putting you on the map now.
Awesome, buddy.
Awesome.
Well, thank you so much, Peter. Yeah.
Have a great evening.
Thank you, Peter, very much.
Thanks.
Mr. Phil, I will talk to you later. You go to sleep
Kenny,
now. It's almost midnight.
Kenny, stay on for a minute. Yeah.
Okay, Peter.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Talk to you later, buddy. Appreciate it.
See ya. Hey, how are you?
What's going on? Good. Pretty cool, eh? Jaks is pretty.
Yeah, that was really cool.
I know it's hard because it's so biased. Because I do.
No, it's okay.
It's not.
You're not biased. That's.
No, I'm completely biased. But it's a legit bias. I really like them.
Yeah.
They're just. Yeah. They're just. It's just. You can see it. It's well run. They give a shit, right?
Yeah. That's cool. I wanted to tell you. So I am down to 2 days a week now with Nimi. As of this week.
Shit.
Yeah.
That's good though.
Yeah, it
Is
is.
that
It
is that a is that long term
No, it's
manageable, or is
permanent
that
now. Yeah. No, I don't know if so I kind of managed myself out
if you were going to do
on
that
this
anyway?
one. Yeah, I was going to do that anyway, and
But you
then
didn't leave.
I was aiming for leaving, and they said, "Well,
It's kind of
could you
nice though.
stay
That's
on for?" Yeah, so I mean, it's kind of cool because it gives me a base, at least in the beginning, to be able to go,
absolutely. Plus, you
this
do
is my
like it. It's
rate,
not that you
this is
don't
what I
like
get paid
it.
for 2 days, and then
Yeah,
so now I'm just trying to fill in the other three. So we'll see. We'll see.
I
So
don't
if
think
you
it's
know
going to be a
anyone
problem.
needing a digital marketer, let me know because I'm available now. So the Mutluk guys already stepped in. They already went, yes. We don't know how. I don't think they afford me that much. I think it'll be like a day a week. I don't think I want to give them more than that
No.
anyway because I'll wind up being a place where I won't like them as much. But
Does a lot of stuff you do overlap with potentially what Shanae and her crew does?
not really. We're probably more complimentary than anything else.
Okay, so I'll tell you what. Talk
Yeah.
to Shanae because I threw her
Okay.
a lead.
Okay.
Tonight I've got actually I really like the guys. They're nice people. Really cool, really clean cosmetic line. Australia, sold internationally, looking
Okay.
for PR / marketing North America.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to suggest. I don't think it's a good idea to have a U.S. PR company or marketing company manage Canada. Not at the beginning. Countries are different. I know nobody thinks they're different.
No,
I
they're
don't give a
different.
shit. That line is
Yeah.
solid.
Yeah.
That line
Yeah.
divides two people.
It gets clearer by the day. Are you kidding?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Definitively more clear all the time.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, yeah. So you should reach out to Shanae because I reached out to her and sent her a lead that if you guys compliment each other, as I thought you did, it might be very interesting.
Yeah, she and I talked about it before, but with the NIMI stuff, it was just so crazy. Now
you got
it
time.
just wasn't a thing, but now I got time. So
see, and I like filling other people's world.
Yeah,
I love dragging people into
neat.
my worlds.
No, I love it. I love it.
Oh yeah, I think you should talk to her. I mean, I've told her to reach out. I mean, it was just today, so this is brand new, fresh off the fresh.
Okay. Yeah, because I think I'm going to fill part of that with Mutlux. The Intellicate guys are in a real jam. I feel bad for her. She has funding, but the funding didn't come through before COVID, so it is
timing
stuck
sucks,
now.
Man. Timing
it's
sucks.
Stuck now, right? And I said to her, "Gosh, like we need to like." I'll just help you, right? Like, how do we find the right government agency to help sponsor your business? Because otherwise, you're going to go under without the funding. So I'm,
shameful, right?
so forget like me working there. I'm just freaked out because I think
just help her, so she doesn't sink.
I just don't know if she's going to make it, right? So yeah.
Again, you know what? Bright person. I hate this. Will rebound. It just sucks. You can try to spin silver linings. It just sucks. But you know what? Timing sometimes just sucks.
Yeah.
It is what it is, right? I mean, I hate to even say that, but it's one of those things, right?
So I'm gonna.
If you want an opportunity, that could be a cool one.
Yeah, and I talked to FreshBooks today. They might want some help as well. The accounting guys. Man. So we'll see.
There's definitely stuff out there. I mean, and that's what I hope people listen to is when we talk like this. Is there's stuff out there, and if anything, reach out to contacts. I mean, I haven't talked to Shanae in a while, but as soon as the guy said on the phone today, looking for PR, I said, "Well, do you mind if I throw a couple leads at you?"
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. What the hell? I mean, it doesn't cost me anything.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it's amazing.
And that's a person who's COVID or not is definitively willing to see past it and knows that because the line is organic. It's one of the only organic cosmetic lines. Fantastic packaging.
Yeah.
Wickedly nice product.
It's amazing.
But shit, I mean, if we're all going to be trying to get clean and worried about a whole bunch of things, this might be a really cool place. So
indulgent is a thing. Like the lady that started there's a lady I'm coaching. She runs a nail lineup, like a nail polish lineup. It's called the Manny Co. It's tiny, right? She's a one-man show. She's a one-woman show. She's got amazing colors. Like her marketing is on point. and she's making a go of it, like as a single proprietor, because right now she's figured out how to tap that.
Right on, man. That's awesome.
You know that side of like, you know what, like you still got to be able to treat yourself to things. You can't go to the spa. What are you going to do?
Telling you, look what you do with booze.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Why buy a Smirnoff when I can buy a Grey Goose? Because I'm not doing anything else.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm going anywhere.
Yeah.
Like you can elevate your game. You don't have to be an idiot about it, because be conscious of what's going on out there. But you can treat yourself a little if you have the means and the opportunity. Why not?
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah.
That's good for you, man. That's good. That's that makes life a lot easier. Well, until you plug it up.
Yeah. I mean, like under the hood, right? It's like, so it's a podcast. Nobody can see me. I'm smiling ear to ear, right? Because
I could. Yeah, you're pretty stoked.
We've kind of been like agonizing about this for a while. But under the hood is there's some anxiety, right? As we're walking into, we're in COVID times. There's like level high unemployment, and I've gone and done what most rational people wouldn't.
Well, sorry, that's
right?
most rational people.
Yeah, no, really, right? And
like
I walked away from it. So there's some anxiety that I need to fill those hours, right? But I think that's just going to drive more prospecting, and
it does. It's good for you. I mean, I did it with I told you with the other thing, right? It's the right decision, because making sure you don't lose the right people to save the wrong person.
Yeah.
You just do that because that makes logical sense.
Yeah.
But does it take it on your pocketbook? Yeah, but you know what? Pick up a little extra time. Yeah. There's other things to do.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Again, most rational people wouldn't do that, but we're not very rational apparently. So
no, we clearly aren't. Yeah.
That's all good.
Anyway, so I'm very excited.
That's awesome, man. I'm really happy for you. That's really good.
Yeah.
That's great news.
Thanks.
That's great news.
Yeah.
That's great. I got to make a change now too, because geez, you're putting pressure on me again. Ooh.
No. Come on, man. You're finding balance in your life, right? Like
I have no balance.
We haven't been in sync that way since the beginning, right? In the beginning, both of us were kind of in sync, and then, like, you know what I mean? Like you went crazy, then I went crazy, and then, like we just haven't.
This is actually the first time we've sort of been in balance. It's not going to last because I just gonna.
No. It's like one episode, right?
Yeah. Well, maybe two.
Maybe two.
I've been content for 2 or 3 episodes now.
Okay.
I made it through a Lori episode without falling apart.
Yeah.
I didn't get picked on. So
no, you avoided the Lori episode.
Whatever. Same.
Yeah.
Managing is managing. I don't give a shit. Whatever. It wasn't a big. I could move a maneuver.
Yeah. And for listeners actually, and for Lori, I'll have to tell Lori before she hears this episode, but we'll have to postpone her because we're actually the roster is pretty full for the next couple of ones. They're pretty big episodes with we're going to continue this theme of trying to help you figure out COVID and what comes after COVID. So Kenny has gone out and found some really great guests that are going to be on the show. I think I found, at the end of the month, I want to get Yulia from Intellicate on.
Sure.
She's got a really cool operational thing that seems to help retailers with what's happening in COVID right now. And then I wanted her to talk about it because the reason she started Intellicate, she got fired from her last job. And then that made her just go like, I got this idea. I gotta jump on it. And
this
go.
is the time, and there's a lot of people that have been forced out of work because of this. Just don't doom and gloom it. There is opportunity, and the next 2 guests will highlight that. And if we can get Uli on, I mean, seriously, let's do it.
Yeah, so she's going to be the end of the month, so we're kind of like, and then Lori will come in and tell us how we're fucked up.
And then we should get the boss back on because I'm dying to see what her business is doing. And
we got to get the boss on too. Like now, all of a sudden, we got a lot of guests coming on. So
it's good though. Nobody wants to hear us every weekend. I've been told this enough times.
Yeah.
I mean, Mark tells me that all the time. I think he's just tired of listening to us. It's okay. Whatever.
Mark.
Why
isn't?
I've been invited him on the show.
Oh,
I told him he should. He has a bit of a chicken shit.
Mark, calling you out now.
Exactly.
Calling you out.
He's an Ontario boy. He's on your side of the world, Jam.
What? Where are you? Just call me and we'll do it without Kenny.
Oh, what kind of fun is that? No, I think it'd be great because you talk about sales in the time of COVID. Next week we have Dominic from La Grotta, which is food distribution in the time of COVID. And then we have Jake from Midday Squares, which was a really cool start, still a cool startup,
Yeah.
but just gonna rock it. And then the COVID hits.
Yeah.
How are they doing? How are they
Yeah,
managing
yeah.
this? And then and it was the same. I mean, funding doesn't come through, like, shitty timing. How does it play?
Yeah.
What do we do?
Yeah.
Right. So I think these are the important ones to have on right now. This is good.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
So
awesome.
maybe, you know what? Maybe we poke Mark enough, like he'll just unjam tart himself. And
Mark, come on,
come
the
on,
show.
man. Seriously,
come on the show.
He'll do it.
Excellent.
It's all good.
If you are listening to us and you either think we're crazy about the COVID thing or you want some help with your COVID stuff,
let us know.
Let us know. You know where to find us, and then we'll help you. Maybe you come on the show too, and we can talk about it as well.
Sounds cool, man.
Awesome, dude.
Sounds cool.
Thanks, buddy.
Okay, stop the recording. I gotta talk to you offline for 2 seconds, and that's it.
All right, that's the end of this Commerce Life. We'll be back soon with the next episode. Thank you for joining us. We hope you enjoyed it. Give us feedback. Tell us what you think. Subscribe, like us, join us, share us, tell your friends about us. And we hope to see you next time with more commerce news.